Calvirana from Logistics Insiders, and today joining us is Mr. James Hill. He's the Chief Financial Officer, Asia Pacific from Agility. Hi, sir.
Hello.
So we'll start with the questions.
Yeah.
So my first question is, what does the unbroken cold chain holds for the industry?
I think in logistics today, the key thing that we provide our customers is information. Previously, it was a simple movement of cargo, but increasingly information is becoming important to customers. So to me, the unbroken supply chain is being able to provide a customer, and it doesn't matter whether it's the manufacturer or the purchaser, particularly in the pharma space of drugs, with information about where their product is, what condition it's being held in, and when they can expect a delivery. Able to provide real-time information regarding the status of cargo, particularly today where increasingly you're seeing freight from, say, India to Europe is moving via the Middle East, so you've got transshipment. Real-time information around where the cargo is and what it's doing. If it's left on the tarmac, someone knows about it and doesn't find out 2 days later. So I think for me, unbroken supply chains are around that information flow between us as the logistics provider and our customers.
So this brings me to my next question. How, according to you, will the US-China trade war, followed by the outbreak of coronavirus in China, be beneficial for Indian industry in terms of the relocation of the production houses or the manufacturers in India?
Tough question. I think if we were limiting the discussion to the trade war, I think that you would see a significant movement and benefit to India for manufacturing. Not just India, but obviously a number of other countries in Southeast Asia and South Asia. When you add the impact of coronavirus and you're seeing the significant reduction in freight capacity, and just to give you an indication of scale, the air freight market out of China currently is down something like 4,000 tonnes a day in terms of capacity. Now, okay, that's China to the rest of the world, but those planes start and go somewhere else. And we're seeing here in India already a loss of capacity. So those aircraft that might otherwise have been travelling between India and China aren't travelling. So we are starting to see some pressure in the Indian market on the general supply chain in terms of capacity to move product. So moving manufacturing to India would be beneficial. Can we source the spare parts or the components for manufacturing? Unknown. Yeah, I think and it's not just in the pharma space, that's across all industry sectors.
Okay. So the other question is also around the outbreak of coronavirus, because we are discussing it so much.
Yeah.
So after the outbreak of coronavirus, we all know it has affected the whole supply chain very adversely.
Yep.
So the whole companies are suffering from it, whether it's perishable goods or the general automotive or the other countries. So what do you think could be a better thing, for like a better risk management strategy that supply chains could have adopted to be on a safer side when such outbreaks come forward?
The flippant answer, of course, is automation. If you have a reduced demand on people, these type of things become less critical. That's not that easy, of course. So when you start talking about the loss of manufacturing capacity, and it's coming in several waves. We saw initially in China, for example, a complete country closed down for a fortnight. The week of Chinese New Year plus the following week. Many factories are now able to reopen, and some of them are. The challenge they have is that their workforce is not available, because their workforce is either in quarantine somewhere else or have been in contact with people who may be infected and therefore is not available. So I think that that manufacturing base, the answer then is diversification. And if you look back, I think it was 2010 when Bangkok particularly was impacted by significant floods. We saw a number of companies diversify their manufacturing, moving manufacturing into Malaysia, some went to Vietnam, and I think even some came here to India. 10 years later, people's memory is short. We're starting to see that manufacturing being reconsolidated back into Thailand, potentially creating another problem should it happen again. I think the manufacturing base and the power now the significance that China holds in the global manufacturing base is going to be a challenge for, I think, world economies for a time to come. Cost is obviously a major factor. And yes, you can move manufacturing to India, to Bangladesh, to Pakistan, to Myanmar, to a number of other Southeast Asian or South Asian countries, or to Africa. But they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the factories. They don't have the roading infrastructure to move parts around. So I think that fix for the dependence on China and the impact of something like coronavirus is something that is an extremely difficult fix and is going to take a long time to address. And to be honest, I don't know what the answer is.
Okay. You just mentioned that India and China, Pakistan, the other countries, they are lagging in infrastructure. So would you think that, maybe these countries, like advice from you that maybe India can take to, actually get in at par with the global level?
Yeah, I think I've now been coming to and from India for 10 years, and I give absolute credit to the country for the progress that's been made in that period of time. I think that I don't want this to be a political debate, but the resources that are going into infrastructure today are very significant. And we're seeing it in terms of improved roads, we're seeing it in terms of improved and expanded port facility, and we're seeing it in terms of rail capacity, in terms of movement of product around the country. My personal view is I think rail is a solution which more countries should look to solve domestic transportation issues. I think India is improving. I think that there are, in terms of factory space, there's still too much instances where, and a lot of your, for example, warehouse capacity, manufacturing capacity, is built on land that has historically been farmland, and in many cases there are still restrictions, bureaucratic restrictions, on how that land can be redeployed. It has to do with, I think, a long legacy of land ownership and view towards land. Solving some of those issues and getting some more clarity around ownership and the ability and the rules around development will also help. So I think that's something that could be looked at here.
Thank you, sir. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.